She's played the wide-eyed girl in Junebug, the seductive hustler in American Hustle, and the haunted mother in Arrival. With 6 Oscar nominations, Amy Adams is known for her exceptional talent and her famously private life. But behind the fairy tale gowns and unforgettable performances was a woman who, long before the spotlight, was broke, rejected, and ready to walk away from acting for good. Which makes one wonder, what if she had quit? Follow us along as we share with you the untold life story of Amy Adams, while showing you some of her rare photos. Like many other actors, Amy Adams did not have a background of glitz and fancy restaurants. Despite her father being a military man, her parents were impoverished and lived generally on coupons. Feeding 4 growing boys and 3 girls was very difficult, so they struggled with moves from army camp to army camp. And by the time Amy was 8, they finally settled in Colorado. Amy enjoyed a significant chunk of her childhood in Colorado. Her memories there were filled with singing, dancing, and imaginative play. Despite the financial restraints, the family was happy, but all of that was soon about to change. When she was 11, her father left their home for a new life in Arizona, leaving Amy's mother to care for her 7 children. There wasn't enough time to process the abandonment. Her mother needed help, and even though Amy was just a child, she understood something far beyond her years. No one was coming to save them. So after high school, she made a decision. She wasn't going to attend college. Her family didn't have the money, and she didn't want to be a burden. Loans weren't an option, and time didn't feel like something she could waste. So she started working, first at Gap, then at a local greeting card shop. Eventually, she got a job at Hooters, not for fashion, but because the tips were better. She stayed just long enough to buy her first car and move on. It wasn't about dreams then, it was just about survival. As for dreams, Amy's was becoming a ballerina, her escape for a while. She trained in dance, performing in community theater, working retail during the day, and rehearsing at night. But in ballet, it seemed there was a box for everyone to fit in, and Amy didn't fit in any. So she quietly quit that dream and turned to acting, not because she wanted fame, but because it felt like somewhere she could exist. Her first on-screen roles were minor, very small. She appeared in Drop Dead Gorgeous in 1999 and took side roles in TV shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But casting directors didn't know what to do with her. She had a soft face and voice, and in a complex industry, softness didn't sell. By 2002, she landed a role alongside Leonardo DiCaprio in Catch Me If You Can. It should have been her big break. It wasn't. After the film, Amy didn't get another movie job for over a year. She thought the problem was her. She stopped calling her agent. She stopped watching her auditions. She thought of going back to waitressing. She was already 29, and in Hollywood, that age is a silent alarm for women. What if that was the end of the rope for Amy? Well, it wasn't. Amy finally got a low-budget role in an indie film called Junebug. And somehow, that quiet little movie changed everything. She played a pregnant, naive Southern woman with so much heart that even the coldest critics wept. She got her first Oscar nomination. Suddenly, the girl who never quite fit in was being called the next big thing. But success came with its shadows. Amy had what people called a late start, and she carried that label like a wound. Whenever she got close to an Oscar, someone reminded her that she still hadn't won. 6 nominations, no wins, and after each award season, she'd return home with smiles for the cameras, but doubts eating her inside, because what the world didn't know was that Amy Adams struggled deeply with imposter syndrome. She once admitted in interviews that she always thought she'd be found out, that people would realize she wasn't as good as they thought. Amy couldn't comfortably watch herself on screen even after box office hits like Enchanted or Man of Steel. The industry also tested her in other ways. In American Hustle, a film for which she won a Golden Globe, she later revealed that she had to fight to be heard. The male co-stars were paid significantly more, even though she was a lead. She wanted to say something, but feared she'd be called difficult, so she kept quiet. Until a hack in Sony emails exposed the truth. The news spread like wildfire, sparking outrage from people who wondered why the affected actresses never spoke up. But that kind of exposure doesn't always bring peace. It brings shame and questions, a combo Amy didn't need. Because for women like Amy, who built entire careers on being likable, the fear of being unlikable, even just once, can be paralyzing, but was there a place she could truly let go? Was there someone who could love Amy, hidden behind the mask of perfection, but the one with fear? When Amy met Darren Legallo during an acting class in 2001, life had not started making sense. She was juggling jobs and wondering if any of it would pay off. He was a little afraid of her tenacity, but he still saw her before anyone else did, so a year later, they started dating. However, the duo maintained their status as boyfriend and girlfriend for the next 7 years. Darren was always there, cheering her on as she made strides in her career. Amy also kept supporting his art, but people began to wonder why they weren't married yet, or better still, engaged. In 2008, the pair announced their engagement and were expectant parents. The world was happy for them as people awaited the release of their wedding date, but their wait was only in vain. It was 2015, 14 years after they met, that Amy and Darren became husband and wife. Only a few friends and family attended the wedding, no paparazzi or magazine shots. Most people had no idea they had gotten married. It was the perfect type of ceremony for Amy and her husband. By the time of the wedding, their only child, Aviana, was already 5 years old. Amy and Darren had been raising her together even before the marriage, and today, Aviana is 14 years old. But Amy's early days as a mother were almost a disaster. From Amy's struggles, it's obvious how much she constantly tried to be good at things. Maybe it stems from her abandonment by her father, or the rejection in the ballet world. One thing was sure, and that is, her mental health needed some help. However, at the point of her motherhood, Amy didn't know how bad it was until she started crying in the closet. She struggled like many first mums, and didn't give herself enough grace. Amy has always been intentional about keeping her daughter out of the spotlight. She never turned motherhood into a media tour. She didn't post for attention or let cameras follow their life. She just showed up every day, quietly, off screen. She also learned when to say no. Amy turned down scripts when they demanded too much time away. She adjusted her work schedule so she could be home for the small things: dinner, bedtime, laughter that doesn't win awards but matters more than any of them, and slowly she found her rhythm. Today, Aviana is a teenager. Amy doesn't brag, but you can tell how proud she is when she talks about herself. It goes to show that she and Darren did raise Aviana very well. Life at home was good, but Hollywood wasn't done testing her. In 2016, Amy starred in Arrival, a film many believed would finally earn her the long overdue Oscar win. Her performance was subtly perfect, but Amy's name was missing when the nominations came out. The world gasped, even her co-stars expressed outrage, but just as usual, she stayed quiet. However, there was even more heartbreak around the corner. 2 years after the Arrival snub, Amy played the lead in Sharp Objects, a haunting HBO miniseries based on Gillian Flynn's novel. She portrayed Camille, a journalist with deep emotional scars and self-harming tendencies. It was Amy's darkest role yet, and her most personal. Behind the scenes, the role took a toll on her mental health. She had to enter a headspace she knew all too well. She once said it took months to feel like herself again. After the series wrapped, she struggled to separate from Camille. That was the risk of being an actor like Amy, who gave everything, even if it broke her. Still, the performance was hailed as one of the best in television history. Another award season came and went, and once again, Amy was barely given any public acknowledgement. But Amy never stopped, and so she went on to produce and star in Hillbilly Elegy, a film about addiction, class, and generational trauma. Though the film received mixed reviews, Amy's performance was raw, unflinching. Critics didn't love the project, but fans saw the truth. She told a story many people were too ashamed to say. The same year, Amy also lent her voice to mental health advocacy, sharing how therapy helped her find her voice again. In recent days, Amy has been in the spotlight again for her daring 2024 film Night Bitch, which premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 7th when she was 50 years old. In it, she plays Mother, a former artist turned stay-at-home mum who grapples with isolation, identity loss, and anger as she cares for her toddler. She poetically turns into a dog as a metaphor for suppressed rage and changing desires. Amy described the role as deeply personal, saying she recognized herself in the character's struggle. She aimed to validate the invisible experience of many mothers who feel unseen, exhausted, and trapped by motherhood's expectations. Looking ahead, Amy is now filming Clara and the Sun, expected for 2025, an adaptation of Nobel laureate Kazuo Ishiguro's novel. In it, she plays the mother of Clara, played by Jenna Ortega, a role rooted in emotional depth and existential themes of artificial intelligence and human connection. Behind the scenes, Amy fiercely protects her personal life. She remains with her husband, Darren Legallo, and their daughter, Aviana, living quietly in Los Angeles with minimal publicity. Amy never thought her life would turn out like this, even if her ballet dreams had worked out. Could she be worth $50 million at age 50 as a ballerina? We might never know, but we know that Amy is happy and living a life of relevance. If you enjoyed this video, there's a good chance you'll enjoy the one on your screen right now. Click, enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you at the next one.